Hey guys, Opal here and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a full New Orleans style build using these photos as a reference. I've never been there, but looking at these photos it looks so beautiful. I put heavy emphasis on these two train tracks in the middle and then the palm trees, and also had a lot of emphasis on placing the buildings very straight and also adding some little foliage areas too. And I think the end of this build turned out really cute. Definitely is very inspired by all of these photos that I'm showing here, and I think I kind of made it work in the end. So this is kind of the main part of the build where we have the two train tracks, which I think is just so cute. And then I just start pathing out some little areas to put some foliage into, just to kind of give it that New Orleans kind of look. The photos that I was using as a reference were so bright and colorful, so yeah, I did try and add quite a lot of color into this build too. I wanted to do a footpath because it would be really annoying to kind of walk through the trains, so I used this darker pathing for the main walkway. I also use those benches to help me make everything even. It just makes it a lot easier. I think also having a lot of space between the buildings and the path gives a lot of room to decorate, especially because I'm trying to keep all of those buildings quite close together and even. Here I'm just kind of readjusting the buildings because I forgot to grab some buildings. I also have to add the Scrooge shop and Remy's restaurant, and I could have left these out, but I think it looks so much more full and a lot better with these buildings added. I decided to also do it in the Sunlit Plateau just because honestly I don't really have an idea of what I want to do with this biome, so it was quite an easy decision to kind of just place it here. Plus I like how it's quite open and there is the river, but it doesn't really cause any issues. It's just quite a nice empty space. I think also going with the palm trees too in the sunlit, it makes it really blend in, so that's always a bonus. Then I just started working on connecting the buildings to this main path. Now as you can see, it doesn't all line up with the little foliage box things that I put earlier, but while we do the build we kind of add so much sort of decor and items that you really can't tell when things are uneven, so it's perfectly fine. One thing I really wanted to add was using the river as this kind of sidewalk. I'm not really sure where that is. In New Orleans somewhere, I've never been, so I don't know, but I really wanted to use the river and kind of mimic that, but it was just quite hard to fit all the buildings in and then also do that. But I was thinking maybe I didn't decorate that backspace because I'm still hoping to do it, so I hope to do that in the future. These are the trees that I used in place of the palm trees. I could have used the normal palm trees, but I thought these were just a little bit better because they're a little bit, you can kind of fit them better. They don't take up as much space as the palm trees, which is a little bit weird, but yeah. Again, this is what they look like, so I think that these fit pretty good. I think they fit quite nicely, and I didn't put them evenly around the path, but I tried to. And I also used these lights here to mimic the lights on the street, but I did end up changing these to the clock towers, which I think look a little bit better. Then I added in my trains, which I was so happy about. The only thing is I wish we had a red one, or even just any other color. I think that would look really cute. I started kind of just placing down some beach grass, but most of this gets moved and changed later on. It's kind of just putting things down just so I can get a feel of the space and what I'm working with. I wanted to add some benches and seating in this area, but I also wanted it to be even with this Scrooge store, which was quite hard and difficult. I thought that the two trees kind of blocked it off a little bit too much and it looked a little bit weird, but then this with just one chair looked weird, so I tried to do this thing where I like blocked off part of this in like an even square and then added the trees and the benches in front, which I think looks really cute. And then I just added some other little decorations like barrels and a little bit of foliage. I decided to use cactus. I don't know if there's really cactus in New Orleans, but I put them anyway because they kind of match the palm trees. And I did place some other little bits of foliage like that. Don't come for me if that's not realistic. I'm not really sure. I could probably just search it up, but it's Disney Dreamlight Valley, so yeah, working with what we have. I decided to put a hedge down this back area here just to kind of block off the ugly stones, and then I added the fence and then also some trees just to take up some space down the back there. I also added some red trees kind of randomly. I didn't put too much, just a little bit, because they're really good at taking up space where you can't really fit anything else. I tried to do this to kind of like block off the back of the train area thing, but I did end up changing this to the gazebo, which I thought was really cute. Then I did the same sort of fencing and just extended this path a little bit here, but I didn't decorate this in this area today. This was kind of just to enclose this area so it was easier to decorate. I think also I could have used the brick fencing. I think that would have looked really good too. I just decided to use this one because it was shorter and easier to use, and I had already used it at the front of Scrooge's, which I thought looked really nice, so I kind of just continued it. I played around with a lot of pathing in this build. There is quite a bit of pathing, probably more than I've used in any other build that I've done. Not necessarily more pathing, but just a lot of like combinations of different pathing, just mixing and matching it. In total I used 3 different pathing, and I actually went through in the middle of the train and added some dirt pathing in the middle, which isn't from the reference photo, but I thought in the game it looked a little bit better like that, so I did do that. This is when I add in the gazebo, which I think looks so cute and it really takes up a lot of space at the end of this build. Then I just started going in with some decorating, and I only really decorated the areas where the grass is, and this was just to save a little bit of space so I could still walk around quite freely. As you can probably tell, both sides of the build look a little bit different from each other. This side has more like floral vibes going on, and then on the other side it's more like muddy and not as much decor. And I don't really know why I did this, but I don't think it really matters because when you're on one side you can't really see the other, so I didn't really care about it being symmetrical, which is probably the first time I've ever thought that. Then I just added some random decorations. I actually cut out a lot of me doing silly little decorations around, but you will see that in the final walkthrough of the build. I went through so many items just to kind of see what to pick out, and yeah, I was struggling a bit because we have some pretty items, but I was really trying to just focus on the reference photo and nothing else. Like, obviously the reference photos don't show that much, just kind of the main structure, and I'm sure somewhere in New Orleans they'll have bakery tables with food on them and little market areas, so I thought things like this were okay to add and kind of just use my imagination with things like that, kind of just putting the basics in that I would any other kind of plaza slash city build. And again, I use more of those cactuses, which I don't really know if there's cactuses in New Orleans, but I'm just guessing, I'm not sure. And then I did this like main strip, which I think looks really cool. Obviously doesn't look like the reference photo. Here is the reference photo again. I do think that the build looks kind of similar, or maybe I'm just gaslighting myself into thinking that, but I just love the pretty vibes of this city, and I was just super glad that we had at least some items to kind of make it work. I did this little area here for the well. I didn't really know what to do, so I just kind of split the path off into two and did a little fountain area in the middle and just some basic decorations on the sides. I didn't really want to pull too much focus on this area, so I kind of just did enough decorations to kind of make it look good and kind of blend in, but I didn't want to add anything too fancy, especially because there's not that much room anyways in this area to add much. I did, however, go with this pathing here, and I was also very cautious doing this build. Those bone things that pop up in this biome are really ridiculous, and they pop up on pathing too, so I tried my hardest to kind of fill in a lot of spots possible, because I really hate them popping up in pretty builds. I mean, they're fine for jungle builds when they kind of like to pop up, but not these builds. These banners, I decided later, I found them, I thought they would be perfect for this build. Here is the final walkthrough of the build. Honestly, I love it so much. This is probably my favorite city build that I have done. I'm so glad I tore down my last city build so I could use all the house skins in this one. I'm also very late to the party, I know, doing a New Orleans build, but I was too scared to do it because I've never been there and I had never even seen photos of it, so when people were saying New Orleans build, I had no idea what they were talking about. But now I'm here, I have discovered the beautiful city and done a build on it, so I feel happy. Here are some overview shots of the build. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this gave you some inspiration and you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.